Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and we got an insane game to recap for you guys in today's video. I'm going live for this recap for the first time. I never really go live during post games, but that game was absolutely insane, and I felt they needed to go live right now. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching on replay, guys, welcome into the stream. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate that because I got a lot of things to get off my chest in today's video because that game was for the ages. And I know that we lost, and it's definitely upsetting that we did lose that game because we really had it right there at the end. And Mitchell Robinson had to get that foul. But, man, you just got to tip your cap. I really love what I saw from this Knicks team tonight. And usually I'm not that guy to say, oh, yeah, well, we lose, but I still feel good. I don't feel good right now. We lost the game. It sucks. But I love the resiliency because I feel like this game for the Knicks against the first seed Brooklyn Nets showed the type of team that we have under Coach Thibodeau. It's a team that does not give up. Early in the third quarter, I thought it was over, to be honest. But the Knicks fought their way back. They showed heart. They showed resiliency. They showed their true identity. They play with high intensity throughout the entire game. They play with physicality. But at the end of the day, the Knicks just cannot get the job done late in that fourth quarter. We had an opportunity. All we needed to do is get one defensive stop, and then we get a chance to win the game. But Mitchell Robinson gets the foul call, and they go up and shoot 2 free throws. Evan Fournier had a crazy three-point jump shot, gets ice cold, comes in ice cold off the bench, and hits the three-pointer to give the Knicks, I think he tied it, and then the Knicks just could not get the job done. But, man, what a game from the New York Knicks. You know that the Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks, the rivalry is real. That game, whenever they verse each other throughout the regular season, it's going to be like this. It's going to be one of those games where you never know what's going to happen. This was really a game of runs because earlier on in the game, the Knicks were on a run. Then the Nets got hot, and the Knicks got hot. It was just like a seesaw of, all right, who's going to have that run late in the game? And that's really what it came down to. James Harden absolutely destroyed us in the first half. He kind of came down to earth on the second half. And then Kevin Durant, he didn't do that much. But then late in the fourth quarter, of course, Kevin Durant's going to become the assassin that he is. And he goes out there and hits a bunch of clutch mid-range shots. RJ Barrett had to leave this game because he was dealing with a non-COVID related illness. And he actually started the game. He tried to play through it. But obviously, he was not physically able to go through the rest of the game. So he got pulled. He got out for the rest of the game. So that was up to the coaching staff to realize, all right, RJ's not out there for the first time this year. What's the lineup's going to be like? And obviously the big talking point for the New York Knicks right now is the whole idea of Kemba Walker being out of the rotation. Alec Burks is the starting point guard for the Knicks for now. And this is the first time we saw Kemba Walker officially out of the rotation when he's not being benched for a back-to-back, if you guys know what I'm saying. And to be honest, guys, you can tell why Coach Thibodeau made this move. Alec Burks had a phenomenal game. He played 39 minutes, and he had a really all-around balanced game. You can see why Coach Thibodeau likes Alec Burks with the starting lineup because of his size, his versatility, his ability to defend and be a really clutch player for the New York Knicks. So I definitely understand the mindset when it comes to subbing in Alec Burks and replacing him with Kemba Walker. We'll see what happens as the season goes on with that whole situation. But, man, Julius Randle had a really good game. He did everything in his power to will his team back to win. But the Knicks just fell short, guys. I would love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comment section, or you're watching this live. Let me know what you guys are talking about because this game really showed me. This was like the first loss this season where I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, wow, okay. That was a game that really showed me the true identity and heart of this Knicks squad. I know I said that earlier on in the video, but that's truly how I feel. This was such an important game for this Knicks team, and you can feel it. You can tell that Randall understands how much a Knicks victory over the Brooklyn Nets would mean to the Knicks, especially Knicks fans in the city of New York, because obviously there's a rivalry between the Knicks and the Nets naturally because of the whole New York. And you can just tell that not only Randall, but the entire Knicks team had a sense of urgency tonight. They fought their way back. They did not stop. They kept playing defense when they had to the most. Obviously the Brooklyn Nets are going to go on their runs, but the Knicks did not fold, and they made sure that they're going to fight and claw their way back. And that's exactly what they did. There's a lot of contributors to tonight. Derrick Rose returned to action for the first time because he's been dealing with a sprained ankle, which was good to see. But, man, to be honest, guys, the refs really was lopsided, in my opinion. And Coach Thibodeau talked about this post-game. He said he doesn't really care about, the refs calling it either loose or a tight game. He understands that calls are not going to go their way. But what Coach Thibodeau was saying was like, if you're going to call it tight, if you're going to call it loose, how about you balance it for both sides? If you look at the numbers, I don't have the stat sheet in front of me in terms of how many free throw attempts there were, but the Brooklyn Nets had a ridiculous amount of free throw attempts compared to the New York Knicks. They were getting foul calls after foul calls, and it was a little redundant, a little insane. There's a lot of things that we can break down in terms of the foul calls, but I'm not going to really talk about that. I'm not really that type of Knicks fan that really blames the referees for a loss, but you definitely have to bring it up because it was definitely a big time, disappointment, and it looked like it was a lopsided event. But what I saw from the Knicks tonight, especially from Julius Randle, that he's been struggling the past couple of games. He had back-to-back single-digit games, and he goes out there, he drops 24 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, shooting 11 for 22 from the field, which is 50%, having 2 steals. So Julius Randle was doing everything that he could to will his way back, will his team back into the victory. Obviously, that they fell short. But what I love from Julius Randle was he was getting his teammates involved early in the first quarter, and then he really started attacking the paint. And that's something that we haven't really seen Julius Randle do recently is, go into the paint and bully people down low. Because you guys remember, Julius Randle, that's what he was earlier on in his career with the Lakers. He was a bruiser down low, and I feel like Julius is trying to get back to his old ways, not trying to rely on those contested mid-range jump shots or those contested three-point jump shots. He's getting down low into the paint, doing pick and roll and finishing through contact with ease, and you love that from Julius Randle. I just feel like that the one criticism I have for Julius is definitely he needs to relax on these, emotions. They got a technical foul late in the fourth quarter. That's absolutely inexcusable. You got to be able to contain your emotions. Obviously, the refs are making you go crazy. Knicks fans understand why Randle was going crazy on the refs, but he really has to make sure that he understands that every single point matters, and you cannot get a technical foul late in that fourth quarter because that is, that can absolutely switch. 1 point is a big-time difference in a tight game like this against the Brooklyn Nets. And then Alec Burks, he finished with 25 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. Alec Burks in his first time starting at the point guard spot after the, whole Kemba Walker situation. Obviously, we saw Alec Burks start against the Hawks at the point guard spot, but Alec Burks has been absolutely phenomenal for the Knicks in the past couple of weeks, honestly. He's doing everything that you want from the Knicks point guard role. You need a defensive versatile piece that can guard multiple positions, 6'6", has long arms, and he's hitting the clutch shots. He's getting his teammates involved. He's just padding the stat sheet. So shout out to Alec Burks. He definitely looks like he should be the starting point guard for now for the New York Knicks. And then how about Evan Fournier, man? Evan Fournier had a very interesting game. He hit the first bucket of the game, I'm pretty sure. And then he did nothing for a big stretch. He was looking terrible. Thibodeau pulls him out. And then he comes in, hits clutch shots in the fourth quarter. And then he gets subbed out. And then he gets subbed in, ice cold off the bench, hits the shot that ties up the game. And you just got to give shout out to Evan Fournier because he came in and hit clutch shot after clutch shot. We saw Derrick Rose return to the lineup for the first time in a couple games. He's been dealing with the sprained ankle. D Rose finished with 16 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 6 of 13 from the field. It's great to see Derrick Rose back out there. And of course, Derrick Rose had the highest plus minus. Why wouldn't he? He had a plus minus of an 11, and that is the highest on the Knicks team. Derrick Rose, whenever he's on the court, the Knicks are a better team. Every single Knicks fan knew that already. So we definitely miss D Rose. Hopefully we can get back on track against the Bulls Thursday. It's going to be a really tough game. Emmanuel quickly, he had another strong game. He didn't shoot the ball, extremely efficiently from the field, but he did everything he needed to do. His energy was through the roof. IQ at 37 minutes with 12 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 11 from the field, and 1 steal. You just love the energy. You love everything about quickly, especially his defensive energy. I just love everything about him. And he was right behind D Rose with a plus minus of a +9. So that's really something about, that I'm noticing that D Rose and IQ, they're coming off the bench, but they are getting a lot of minutes because Coach Thibodeau understands that those two players are a really, they play really well together. And obviously RJ Barrett did not play in that second half, so they needed to get creative. Some people needed to play more minutes, and that's who it was, D Rose and Emmanuel quickly. Obi Toppin in 11 minutes of action, he had 8 points, 2 rebounds and an assist, 3 for 4 from the field. I wish that he got more minutes, honestly. I feel like Obi Toppin had a good game, but he just did not get the opportunity to go out there and show what he can do. I saw a little sample size of Julius Randle and Obi Toppin on the court together, but then they pulled the plug and subbed in Mitchell Robinson late in that game, which was smart. Defensively, he actually had a lot of good possessions defensively, Mitchell Robinson. But then, of course, late in the game, Mitchell Robinson gets called for that foul that inevitably loses the game for the New York Knicks. And then in Nerlens Noel's his return to action, he really did nothing, actually. He was doing cardio out there. Nerlens Noel in 18 minutes had 0 points, 0 blocks, only 3 rebounds, and shot the ball 0 times. So Nerlens Noel did not really do anything. Quentin Grimes got 2 minutes, but that's really it. So, when it comes to the individual performances, I really love what I saw from the Knicks, but overall, the team effort from this squad, playing defense against, you're going up against James Harden and Kevin Durant. We know how good these two superstars are. We understand. We live in New York. We're Knicks fans. We live in the same city. We know what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets right now. They're in first place. They're getting hot. They're trying to understand how to work the chemistry without Kyrie Irving, and you feel like, James Harden really put everything together against us tonight. But man, let me just say something about James Harden, because I cannot stand watching this man play basketball. I always thought that he just tries so hard to draw the foul, and obviously the rules change, and so he's trying to adapt. But there's so many times where it looks like Harden is just trying to get the foul call without playing real basketball. Like, he's just hooking people's arms. He's trying to do all these things. And yes, he's a phenomenal talent. James Harden is an outworldly, great player, former MVP and all that stuff. But it just drives me crazy watching James Harden play basketball, especially against the Knicks when we get all these foul calls against us. It was driving me nuts. And then Kevin Durant, of course, he has to get red hot late in that fourth quarter. But man, we were so close to getting this victory, guys. Evan Fournier, can you guys imagine if he hit that half-court shot for the win? He was so close from hitting that, guys. I cannot even imagine if Evan Fournier actually cashed that from half-court. So the refs really did not do the Knicks any favors in this game. But honestly, guys, this is the first loss this season that I'm taking away as a positive, because the way this Knicks showed their resiliency and their heart against the number one seed in the Eastern Conference with the Brooklyn Nets on the road, I really love everything that I saw from the Knicks. Obviously, there's some things that needs to be worked on. It was not a perfect game by any means, but I feel like this loss is going to be an identity loss for the Knicks. They're going to look at themselves in the mirrors. They're going to look at each other. They're going to talk to each other, and they're going to understand what needs to be done and continue this effort, because you can tell that they played with 100% effort and physicality and energy. The intensity was there. Hopefully they can start doing that, because that's really the backbone of this team right now. That's why the Knicks were so good last year. They won so many games by outworking their opponents. You know what I mean? That's really how they were, the fourth seed in the East last year, is by being way more physical and just being with more intensity, effort, and energy. And you could tell that the Knicks were doing all that tonight, but unfortunately they fell short. And man, what a game, guys. I'm sorry I've been babbling on for so long. I'm just trying to gather all my thoughts, because I'm still upset that we lost, and I'm still trying to figure out how they lost this game. But wow, guys, leave a comment down below your thoughts about this game. If you guys want me to go live more often after the games, let me know. But if most of you guys are probably watching this on replay afterwards, so comment down below your thoughts about the game. Please smash that thumbs up button if you did not already. I'll greatly appreciate that, guys. So that does it for this live stream. Shout out to everybody that tuned in to the live stream. I see you guys in the chat. What's good, Kelvin, Isaac, everybody, Asia, Rich, Rob, Dave, I see you guys in the chat. I appreciate you guys tuning in. That's going to do it for this live stream. So stay tuned for more Knicks content, and let's get this dub against the Bulls this Thursday night. Let's go Knicks, and I'll catch you guys next.